everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Olivia and today I'm going to talk about the things I do to maintain my intermediate level language. In my case, my intermediate level language is Spanish. I've been learning it since 6th grade, but for a few years I have not been learning it in school at all, so it's kind of been up to me to maintain and, do that upkeep with Spanish. So I'm going to talk about a few things that I do to maintain my Spanish. So the first thing I want to talk about that I do to maintain my Spanish is input. Input is super, super important when you want to keep that language at a certain level. So one of the things I do for input is, firstly, reading. Reading is super, super important for getting new vocabulary and kind of just exposing yourself to the form of the language. You really get a feel for it if you keep reading. So reading, depending on your level, you could be reading different kinds of things. One really good resource is short stories. I know there's a lot of books of short stories out there. I currently use the short story series written by Ollie Richards. I think it's a great resource. It has different levels of Spanish. It has beginner, it has intermediate, and I think that's a good way. It's really fun to just read those little short stories. They're really funny, they're entertaining, and they introduce you to a lot of good vocabulary. Another kind of book I like to read is young adult books. So right now I am currently reading The Hunger Games in Spanish. It's something that I read when I was in middle school, and yeah, now I'm reading in Spanish, and I will tell you, it takes me a long time to get through just a few pages because there's just so much new vocabulary, and it's just a really worthwhile resource if you want to just expose yourself to less common vocabulary that you might not encounter in everyday speech, but something that you will encounter maybe in literature. Another piece of reading material that is also really important to consume are news articles in your target language. I'm kind of guilty in the fact that I don't really like to read nonfiction and news. I like to stay in my little world of fantasy and fiction. News articles are really helpful not only because they introduce you to relevant vocabulary, like something that you would use, talking with a native speaker, but they also provide information about what's going on in a certain country, like the country that speaks the language you're trying to learn or maintain. So the other side of input that is really, really, really important to work on is listening. So what I like to do for listening is I like to watch TV shows in my target language. So right now I am rewatching Hannah Montana in Spanish. It does go a little fast for me, but it definitely kind of keeps my ears getting used to the language. I know on Netflix and Disney Plus there's so many resources. You can change different shows and movies into your target language. There's so many different languages in those settings, and I highly recommend that. Another resource that I use are different YouTube channels in Spanish. One of my favorite YouTubers to listen to at the moment is Super Holly, and Miss Holly is just a wonderful Spanish and English teacher, and it's really helpful for me to listen to her videos and get that exposure to listening. She is phenomenal. Last but not least for input, we have music. Music is difficult for me because I have trouble understanding lyrics even when it's in English, my native language. So if you have trouble, like me, understanding music lyrics even in your native language, then I wouldn't be too concerned about understanding music in your target language. For me, sometimes it just feels exhausting when I can't even make out words, but when I read the lyrics I can understand what's going on. So the other aspect of maintaining your target language is output. This is the kind of more strenuous side of maintaining your language. Some people like to avoid it. I try to get as much output in as I can because it's how you are functional in that language. So my main use of output at the moment is keeping a journal. As the great literary character Greg Heffley says, it's a journal, not a diary. But it is a diary. I tried to write every few days in Spanish. I just like to maybe recount my day, kind of talk about how things are going for me. Basically, yeah, it is a diary. Another thing I like to do to get some speaking practice in is make short little clips of me speaking about a certain topic. I've already uploaded a few of those to this channel, so if you want to check them out, go ahead. So what I usually do is I pick a topic, I kind of maybe think about what I want to say, but not go too specific because you want to be able to form sentences in the moment. Another way to get some speaking practice in, it's a little bit harder with the current conditions with the pandemic, but that is talking with native speakers. I am fortunate enough to have a former Spanish teacher who is available to me to get coffee and chat in Spanish, and I think I'm very fortunate to have that, but not everybody has access to a native speaker, which leads me to my next technique, which is just I talk to myself in Spanish a lot. I kind of do like a little narration of what I'm doing. I only do this when I'm by myself because otherwise people are just, what are you doing? But it's really helpful to just kind of keep that constant thought process in Spanish going. But yeah, those are the things that I do to maintain my Spanish, and those are probably things I would do to maintain my other intermediate or upper intermediate languages. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I encourage you to leave a comment to tell me the sorts of things you do to maintain your intermediate languages. Also, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.